Chuck Todd had Bernie Sanders on as a guest this morning. He asked him a question in which Bernie Sanders tried to sideswipe. However, Chuck called him out on it, and here it is for you.
I've been calling for political revolution, and there have been some critiques of it, though, that you're sort of narrow in where you call for revolution. Ta-Nehisi Coates, one of the more respected thinkers in the civil rights movement these days, wrote in The Atlantic, why aren't you for reparations for because of slavery for African Americans? When you're calling for economic justice on so many other levels, why do you stop short on that issue?
Well, for the same reason that Barack Obama has, and the same reason I believe that Hillary Clinton has. And that is, it is absolutely wrong and unacceptable that we have so much poverty in this country, and it is even worse in the African American community. That African American kids between 17 and 20 who graduate high school have unemployment rates and underemployment rate 51%. That 36% of African American children are living in poverty. This is an issue that we have got to address. And my intention as President of the United States is to be very aggressive in dealing with those issues, to put our kids to work rather than see them go to jail, to improve our schools. That's what we have to do, and I think that's what the American people want.
I understand that, but you didn't answer the question why you weren't in favor of reparations.
Well, again, it's the same reason that the president is not, and I think
and what is that
Secretary Clinton is not. We have got to invest in the future. What we have got to do is address poverty in America, something that very few people talk about, and especially poverty in the African American community and the Latino community. And if you look at my record and if you look at my agenda, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, creating millions of jobs by rebuilding our infrastructure, focusing on high rates of youth unemployment, I think our candidacy is the candidacy talking to the issues of the African American community.
Well, let me ask you, though, many African Americans, they hear that, and some will say, okay, he's talking about major economic justice, but an African American hand raises his hand and he says, well, can't get that through Congress, you can't deal with this because it's politically very difficult. A lot of your other plans are going to be politically difficult, if not impossible.
Well, look, this is what I think. That is looking at politics today as a zero-sum approach. And what I am trying to do in this country is to say, you know what? In the last election, 63% of the American people didn't vote. 80% of young people didn't vote in the midterm election. That is why the rich get richer, and that is why billionaires are able to buy elections. What we are trying to do is say that in American democracy, maybe it's a radical idea, but Congress should represent working families and the middle class rather than just wealth-paying contributors. So, Chuck, what I am trying to do now is change the dynamics of American politics. Bring millions of young people, working class people, in to stand up and fight for their rights. When you do that, yes, we can raise the minimum wage. We can create jobs. We can make public colleges and universities tuition free. That is what we have got to do.
In 1988, you talked about a major difference between yourself and, at the time, the sort of insurgent candidate in the Democratic Party, Jesse Jackson. And you simply said, Jesse believes that serious social change is possible within the Democratic Party. I don't. You still believe that?
Well, obviously not. I'm running for president of the United States in the Democratic Party. And by the way, when you talk about my relationship to the African American community, check out how many white public officials, elected officials, supported Jesse Jackson in 1988. I did. And he won my state of Vermont. He came to Vermont. Jesse Jackson is a friend of mine. I thought he ran a brilliant campaign. But my view is right now, and the decision that I made as the longest-serving independent in the history of the United States Congress, I said if we are going to win this race, we have to do it within the Democratic primary process. That's what we're doing.
And if